I'm playing Football Manager with a twist. I'm not managing one team, I'm managing three. We've got Spineless Wolfsburg, who have just won the Bundesliga, Spineless Wolfsburger in Austria, who have won the league 3 times in a row, and now we've taken over at Wolves, and we finished in the top 4 in our first season back in the top flight. All of our teams are now primed to go and try and dominate at European level. Can we take one of these teams to Champions League glory? Because I think that's the next aim. So let's get into it. Come on. Welcome back to our multi-club adventure, where we have our 3 teams now ready to all go and compete in the same competition. They're all going to be in the Champions League for this 4th season of our save. We have, of course, Spineless Wolfsburg, who have just on that final day managed to clinch this Bundesliga title after Bayern Munich. They only drew to Dortmund. Here, look, and that was enough to open the door for us to win the league. We've got Spineless Wolfsburger, and things have been a bit more straightforward for them. We've had 3 titles now in a row, and although we're expecting Red Bull Salzburg to be a real threat to us, so far, well, they've just not really been. And then we've got Wolves, who we've managed to take to top 4 in the Premier League in our first season since promotion. They were in the Championship when we took over. They'd just been promoted from the Championship when we took over, and we've managed to get them to finish 4th after a rebuild for the ages during the summer. We signed a lot of players. This was the transfer business. £482 million spent after selling players for £342 million. It's going to have to be the order of the day almost again for next year, because I want to turn this team into not just a top 4 team, but a title challenging team. Because I think with the resources that we've got across the entire network, I think we need to try and get all 3 to be winning titles. We've got 2 out of the 3 already. And I think this year we need to be challenging for the Champions League. We got to the semi-final last year with Spineless Wolfsburg and lost to Real Madrid. I think they won it in the end. They beat PSG in the final. So that's pretty close. Can we go one step further? Maybe Wolfsburg, where we focus a lot of energy to try and take them to Champions League victory. Imagine the opportunities that would be opened up by having a Champions League winner and then maybe all 3 of them winning their leagues as well. Maybe that would be enough to prompt us into bringing in a 4th team or an affiliate team on a different continent. I know that we've talked a lot, and you guys in the comments have been suggesting teams that we could bring in. Loads of you saying teams like Roma. Lots of you saying go and get a team that's in Asia or in South America, bring in a Brazilian team, that type of thing. I'm working all of these ideas through my mind to try and keep this save what it is right now, which is different, it's fresh, it's interesting, and most of all, it's fun. And the thing that I find most fun about Football Manager is transfers, and that's what I'm about to go and do. We are going to go and try and set up these teams and spend some money, because we do have, I think we totaled it up last episode, didn't we? We've got a bit of money across the 3 teams if you tally up all of the transfer funds that are available. There's about 90 million plus Wolfsburger's 36. We've got about 130 odd million plus any sales, plus a massive, I can actually probably adjust this and add a little bit more because that's a big wage budget there. We've got money to spend, money to move around, financial crimes to go and commit, and that's what I'm going to go and do now. Let's go and build these teams, hopefully, into powerhouses by doing what I know best, transfers. Before we do the transfers, a quick one to say thank you so much for watching this series. I'm very grateful for all of the reception to a series like this, doing things differently. I feel like you guys appreciate trying to play Football Manager in different ways, open up broaden our horizons on how we play this game, because this game it's old now, isn't it? It's been out for about 18 months, and to try and keep things fresh and fun and interesting, which it actually is. Like, I'm still having so much fun playing it, but I think it's because we're thinking outside the box and doing things in a fun way. I'm really glad that you guys enjoy that too, because it keeps me going. So I appreciate you guys. If you've not already subscribe to the channel. It really does help. We've hit 103,000 subscribers. So what, 97k to go? Maybe, is that what we're saying? I feel it feels early to be saying that. Anyway, subscribe. Let's get into these transfers. Come on. Okay, well, I return a little bit early, actually. The transfer window has not yet closed. In fact, it's not even close to closing, but there is breaking news in the spineless empire, and that is that our manager, Anton Clayts, has deserted us. He is a traitor. He's been approached by Bayern Munich and he has moved. Clayts has left Wolfsburg to become Bayern Munich manager. And this has thrown up a completely new angle for me to have to work from in this save. One of our managers, so we had, of course, 3 managers in our club. We had Kolo Touré at Wolves, we had Clayts at Wolfsburg, and we had Manny Fanny at Wolfsburger. Yet, Bayern Munich sacked their manager after we pipped them to the title last year. That manager was Vincent Kompany. He was sacked after a poor league finish, and they decided to approach Anton Clayts, our Wolfsburg manager. And I've decided that realistically, he would probably go. We see so many people jump ship in the Bundesliga to go and join Bayern Munich. And I thought, actually, I think he would. If you think back to my Pentagon save, and if you've not watched that yet, this is a spoiler, so maybe just cover your ears if you're going to watch that. But we got approached by Real Madrid in that save, didn't we? And we decided the most realistic thing to do would be actually to take that opportunity. I've applied that, but almost in reverse in this save, and we've lost our manager to Bayern Munich, and that has prompted a bit of a reshuffle. So you may have also noticed the new Wolfsburg manager is our former Wolfsburger manager, Manny Fanny. He's now got the upgrade from Wolfsburger to Wolfsburg. We've promoted from within because I think it kind of makes the most sense here. And that meant that there was a vacancy at Wolfsburger, and I've decided to bring in a new man, Mickey De Zeo. Now, Michael De Zeo was a new gen midfielder that I had in my journeyman save in FM24. So he's now got the upgrade. We've brought him through to be the Wolfsburger manager. And that means that things look like this. We have Manny Fanny at Wolfsburg. Kolo Touré continues at Wolves. And Michael De Zeo is now our spineless Wolfsburger manager. It's all go here, but it's very exciting. And again, it's so fun because it's new and having to think about who the new manager is going to be and what they're going to be like, etc., etc. Anton Clayts is the Bayern Munich manager. However, as you can see here, look, I have relinquished control of him. I can show you that on... I've clicked this button here to relinquish control, which means he will go and do his thing as if we're not controlling him. And we'll be able to follow his career, but we will not be controlling Bayern Munich, of course, because they're not one of our teams. It's thrown a bit of a spanner in the works because whilst this has been going on, I've not actually been able to do too much transfer business because I've been having to apply for jobs. And for a little bit, we didn't have a Wolfsburg manager until Manny Fanny moved across. Look, he only joined on the 11th of July and it is now the 14th of July. So transfer stuff's been a little bit on hold. There has been some business that I'm going to tell you about, but it's a huge change after winning the league at Wolfsburg. They've now lost their manager, but they've managed to bring in a triple Alpenliga winning manager in Manny Fanny. So let's start with Wolfsburg. Let's have a look at the transfer business that they have been able to do, as well as some future business that's going to happen here. Look, one of them, just to start at the bottom, is Damir Mujajic, who is one of our new gen strikers alongside Christian Gruber. Is going to join Spineless Wolfsburger, but he's not going to join until December when that transfer window opens. He turns 18 in October. Once he's 18, then he can move to Austria, and he's going to go at the start of their window on the 26th of October. So he'll be here until then. He played a few games actually at Frankfurt on that loan last time around. Didn't start, well, didn't actually start any games, but did come off the bench and get some first team football. So I suppose that is useful. He's going to go and play regularly though for Wolfsburger for the second half of this season. I will probably try and get him some game time in this first half of the season, I suppose, because he has got loads of potential. He's going to be really good, but he'll definitely be a starter when he goes there. So that's one bit of business that is pending. We've also got in the works a move to bring Alex Valler from Wolfsburger to Wolfsburg as a backup left back. And then Tom Klintberg, who's a young right back that we've got, has some offers from other teams in there. We have, though, done some business, which is to spend about £161 million on new players, as well as bringing in £89 million, though. Most of those are transfers between our different teams. You will notice. In fact, let's do the outs first here. We have moved Julio Cesar Soler, Jasic, Mikic, Mora, and Ozcan, all from Wolfsburg to Wolfsburger for varying amounts of money that are sort of close to their values, but sort of maybe a little bit inflated to try and give us a little bit of money and move the funds around, as I like to do in this save here, which is definitely not legal, but we get to do it, so I'm going to. Those players are all going to go and make up some of the spineless Wolfsburger squad now, and I think some of them were already on loan there, like Jasic has been there for a while, Mora was already on loan there. Ozcan spent the season on loan at Wolves, but I've strengthened there, so now Ozcan is going to go and be a Wolfsburger centre-back option now from this point here. And then Soler is going to be their first choice left back, and Mikic is going to be their first choice right back. He was on loan for them last season too. Other than that, there's a few players going up for small amounts that aren't particularly interesting signings. The big one is that Nicolo Trosoldi has gone to Wolves now permanently. He spent last season there and scored a load of goals actually in the Premier League. 25 goals and 36 starts in the league. 28 goals all competitions. We've now moved him there permanently. 50 million pounds, which I suppose is actually in line with his value, but it feels like a lot of money to be moving between two of our clubs. But he's now going to be their main striker. I felt like I didn't need him to be a striker at Wolfsburg, and he's going to start at Wolves, and he's already scored goals there, and he's settled in nicely. So he's going to go stay there permanently. Those are the transfers out, and then there's two big ones in. Part of the reason that I moved Soler over to Wolfsburger was because we signed a new left back, and his name is Milos Kerkez. Now, you know Milos Kerkez from his amazing season that he's had with Bournemouth, linked with a whole host of big teams this summer, and linked to move away from Bournemouth. He fits the bill in my regard because in this save, he's only 23 years old and he's an exciting young player that I quite like in real life, etc., etc. All of those vibes that we talk about. Milos Kerkez is going to be our first choice left back at Wolfsburg this year. He costs about 50 million up front, 74 million pounds in total. It's a lot of money, but I think it's worth it for a 23-year-old left back that is as good as he is. And like I say, it fits the bill in so many regards. He's going to be our left back. And then our right back, this is going to be so unpopular. You guys are going to hate me for it, but trust me when I say that it's going to work, because I've got a very weird idea, and that's to play Florian Wirtz as a right back. I'm ready for the comments. Trust me, I'm ready. And my Twitch audience, you'll know all about this, and you'll be able to defend me, hopefully, in that Florian Wirtz is what his name actually should be, because Florian Wirtz is going to make a fantastic right back. If I show you on his attribute screen here, you're going to hate this. I think we can make a wing back out of Florian Wirtz. I was looking for a really good right back on the transfer market. I was searching by attributes. I was trying to find the player that fit the bill, who was young, exciting, all of those things, and had great attributes for playing right back. Florian Wirtz kept coming up in those searches, even though he's clearly not a right back, is he? And he could be so good for us. However, remember, we don't play with a number 10. We play with wingers and we play with defensive midfielders. Yes, we could use him left wing. I think that's maybe an argument that you could make. But I actually think we're going to get more out of him playing him as a right back. These are the attributes for a wing back on support. I think maybe it's just because he's great anyway, but I actually think he's going to be really good here with his 18 dribbling and great passing and technique and everything. Using him as a wing back, he's got good work rate. He's got like on the ball. He's going to create so many chances. I think his physicals are great for it as well. 15 acceleration and pace. I just think he's going to be a really good right back. And yes, he's expensive, but I actually think he really improves us. And I think he's going to prove you all wrong. I really feel like I'm being really defensive, but Florian Wirtz, you heard it here first. So those two, they cost an awful lot of money. So I've gone for quality over quantity really with this window. I don't think I signed anyone before the season ticked over. No, I signed a couple of young players in February, look, but that is it. João Hato, by the way, signed in January, played half a season at left back, is going to become our first choice left-sided centre-back for this season. The squad looks like this. If I just pop the subs on the bench here, look, it's something like this. I do want to add a little bit more to this, and we do still have 34 million pounds to go and spend. And like I said, the window is actually still open, so I may well add some more players. But something like this going into season number 3. We've got Doué, we've got Naipan who can come and play in there. We've got, of course, Martel's a backup. We've got, I suppose, Florian Wirtz could play in the midfield if you wanted him to. But I think we're in a pretty strong position with a great attack. Matisse Tal scoring so many goals last year from the left wing, with Sesko and Viper both scoring. Bargy, of course, is great. We've not had to deal with any real big sales this summer, although if we do get big bids for players that want to leave, I will think about it, just to make it kind of realistic with what the vibe is in the save like this. Buying so many young players, part of our vision was to sell players for profit. If we do get big bids, probably will sell them. However, at the moment, if I don't get bids, I'm not going to go out there and start chasing them. Although Viper does want, I think we've got a few players that want new deals, which I can go and sort pretty soon, I think. That's the Wolfsburg team. You saw a lot of movement between the teams there. Let's go to Wolfsburger first, and then we'll finish off with the Wolves business so far. And then we'll go play some games, and then I'll come back, and then I'll let you know how the season is going, and also any extra transfers that I did complete at the end of this window before the window closed. But I needed to come back at this stage just to tell you about those managerial changes, because I think they're so fun. Okay, Wolfsburger's business looks like this. It is £38.5 million spent. So not a silly amount actually spent by Wolfsburger. And then £2.3 million worth of players going out. Again, not sure if there's any deals done before the window opened. No, Comenencia sale was the last one. And then, yeah, nothing done in 2026 on here. So this is all of the business. Actually, all of the signings at Wolfsburger have all been from other clubs in the network. It is those 5 that I told you about from Wolfsburg, and then also Lenny Yoro is going to join on loan from Wolves. Didn't really get his game at Wolves last year, only played 11 times, look, 4 starts, 7 sub appearances. He's clearly got a lot of potential, and he's still really young, so I've decided to bring him here to Wolfsburger now that he's willing to join, and make him a starter and try and get his career back on track, really, is what we're going to go with. The squad is going to look a little bit like this then with those players in. It's going to be Gruber and Mateta as the 2 strikers. Of course, we've got Majic coming in December to join these 2. Galrego on the left-hand side, Mastantuono on the right-hand side, Daniel Dagger and Fabian Krivak in midfield, Soler as the left-back, Mikic as the right-back, Yoro and Zezi as the centre-back, with the new-gen keeper Tomoc in goal. Now, I actually think that defence especially, Mikic, Soler, Zezi, Yoro, is really quite strong, especially for this league. They've got Xiao on the left, Mastantuono on the right, a great strike force. Krivak is brilliant. Dago, I think, will be brilliant. Does need to keep developing, though. I look at his attributes and think, I think you can get a bit better. He's only 20, though. Maybe one more midfielder, and this will be a great team rather than what is already just a really good team. I think Alex Valler would be the starter, but we're going to move him to Wolfsburg as the backup left back, I think. There's going to be some more movement. We still have money to spend, 12 million, look, to go and spend on players. I'm trying to bring Yuri Penis to the club on loan for this season. So he would be a real option in the attack. He was on loan at Wolfsburg last year and did okay. Didn't start loads, only 18 starts, look. But if we could bring him to Wolfsburg, that would be a great place for him to play his football. And of course, I'll be looking for other transfers too. That's the Wolfsburger business so far. Let's finish up with the Wolves business, and then we'll get to playing some games. There is actually quite a lot going on right now, look, in the save. We've got a bid for Ryan Ait-Nouri from Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia, which rises to £61 million. So if that goes through, that's an awful lot of money to go and think about spending somewhere. I'm wondering, there's a few things that I've got in play, such as maybe trying to take Naipan to Wolves, because I think he'll play more games there, and then maybe signing a new defensive midfielder to start at Wolfsburg ahead of Douay, which is the thing that's moving around in my mind right now. But we'll see what happens with, we'll see if this one goes through first and foremost. But a little bit of business here then, £55 million spent, most of it on Nicolo Trasoldi, who was of course on loan here that we've talked about before. And I've also made Alvaro Carreras his loan. I've made it permanent here. We can see there goes Lenny Yoro. There's also a big sale here of Eduardo Quaresma sold to Al Fatah in Saudi Arabia as well. £16 million. It's exactly what I'm talking about. It is that profit that we discussed. Signed for 8.5, sold for 13.5, which will rise a little bit as well. It's just one of those that I don't think he's actually all that amazing. And it's profit. And I think we can find replacements too. I know, in fact, looking at this, there is one big signing that isn't shown. And I think it must have been before the tick over. And that, there's actually 3 on here. And that was the signing of Alex Scott for £80 million. You're probably looking at that going, what on earth are you doing, Clayts? 80 million for Alex Scott. I'd like you to eat your words when I show you his profile, please. He's phenomenal. He is probably the best version of Alex Scott I've seen without having him as one of my players that I've nurtured, if that makes sense. The AI have managed to grow Alex Scott into a beast of a midfielder. Look, he's 23 now, and obviously at Wolves, it's worth paying this money for amazing English talents so that we've got those homegrown players. He just seems like he just is amazing just looking at him. I think he'd be perfect for this defensive midfield spot. Now, obviously, he's not really a defensive midfielder, but I actually think he'll be great there. He can tackle and he's got okay marking positioning, as well as having real quality on the ball. So I just think he was worth the money to go and spend big on him and spend most of our summer budget to bring him in, because I mean, to me, he looks fantastic. We beat Liverpool to his signature as well, which felt like a big win because I'm sure he'd be great for them as well. He was the main one. There's also a couple of others that we managed to bring in before the tick over, and that was the signing of Zeno de Bast on loan from Wolfsberger. Now, that was a bit of a trade with Lenny Yoro. We've sent Yoro to Wolfsberger to go and be a starter there. De Bast, because he was maybe too good for Wolfsberger, we've sent him to Wolves, where he's going to be a starter in the Premier League. And I think that kind of makes sense, because I think we'll still be able to achieve what we want to at Wolfsburg with Yoro there. And I think it will strengthen Wolves here. So he's gone on loan. And then finally, we have loaned a young, exciting striker called Bernardo Banos, which is a great name. We've lined him from Tigres in Mexico, where we are now also going to sign him permanently for his release clause, which is £8.6 million. And I think he'll be well worth it. 6'4" as well. He reminds me a bit of Nelson Viper, actually, over at Wolfsburg. If we can develop him, I think we've got a really exciting striker there as well in Banos. So I think some good business there. And it means that the Wolves team now looks like this. And you're probably looking at it going, what on earth have you done here as well? If I just put the Bast into there. I'm doing some weird different moves here. I think maybe I just had a breakdown on stream as we were discussing this, but I've decided that Carlos Baliba is going to be a left back from now on. Maybe I've just gone mad and I've started turning midfielders into fullbacks, but I just think it works. Carlos Baliba, look, is going to be a great left back. And I will prove this to be the correct call. He just looks, he's left-footed, of course. He's so well-rounded and he's just so powerful and can just run with the ball. He's great at tackling, great at marking, passing. He's got a great engine. He's going to be our left back. Left wing back is Carlos Baliba. He can even cross-look and he's okay at it. And it allows us to start Archie Gray in the midfield alongside Alex Scott. And I've also, because these two I want to be our main starters, and we've got Joe Bellingham as the backup even, I'm also going to train Asta Vranks to be a right back. I mean, go and do it in your place. Maybe you do this already. Go and take a defensive midfielder or a midfielder, turn them into wing backs, because I think they can be great there. Again, I think it makes sense. I just think it makes sense. Great work rate, good teamwork, good passing and tackling and technique. Okay, physicals. His pace and acceleration could maybe be improved a little bit for Astavanks. He can cross it, he can dribble. You don't find many new gen wing backs, fullbacks that can actually cross and do all the things that these guys can do. So Astavanks is now a right back. I know, of course, Archie Gray could even go and do that. He's actually already done that in real life, hasn't he? But I actually quite like him as our defensive midfielder and then Franks as the right back here. So they're going to be retrained. And then the team looks like this. Sebastian Silla as the defensive partnership now with the new fullbacks. Gray and Scott, Krupi on the left, Profundi on the right, Samu and Tresoldi up front. With Banyos now as one of our backup strikers. With a decent squad, I think, ready to go again next year. Also with some money still to spend. And with the potential sale of Ray and Nori, there could be a lot more money to go and spend. And maybe I'm thinking we could bring in Naipan to bolster this squad a little bit. That's what's in my mind right now. We'll see if it happens. That, though, is our summer business. This save is wild. And I think it's the perfect save to go and do wacky things like Carlos Baliba to play left back and Florian Wirtz to play right back. That one might be too far. I think you might be right, but I'm going to go with it. I will see you once I've finished this transfer business and once I've played. Let's go to the halfway point. Do you know what? Let's go to about the halfway point of our season and I'll be back with an update. All right, then. I have moved through to February of this season. So we're just over the halfway mark. And let me tell you, there's a lot to update you on. Not only have I finished off that summer transfer window, not only have I played about half the season, I've also done a whole load of extra transfer business, pretty much with all three teams, because that's my role. I'm the head of football. I'm supposed to be doing all of the recruitment. And let me tell you, I've been busy. I've been taking this role seriously. Let's start a game with Wolfsburg. I feel like for some reason that's like my team to start with. Then we do Wolfsburger. Then we do Wolves. I don't know. That's the order I've got going. Let's start with Wolfsburg, though. And let's begin with results on the pitch, shall we? Because things have been going very, very well. In the league, we are top of the league, looking for back-to-back Bundesliga titles, and it looks pretty good. We've got an 8-point lead on second place, and second place isn't even Bayern Munich. I think we might have broken them. They've now got Clayts, our former manager, in charge, and he's got them only in third, which isn't great. They've struggled a little bit, although you may notice in their starting 11, a familiar face in there. Angelo Stiller has joined them. We'll come on to the transfers in a little bit, but our former manager, Anton Clayts, has come back to sign Angelo Stiller from us for a serious amount of money, £83 million. This is what I mean when I say that we will sell players for a profit if big teams come knocking for them, if they offer us big money for players, because that's part and parcel. That's bringing back some of the revenue, some of the money that we've spent. That's also given us the money to go and reinvest in the young players to keep the factory ticking along, if you like. So Angelo Stiller is an example of that. It was 2.5 seasons with us, and now he's moved in the January window to Bayern Munich under Clayts. Maybe he's the man to save their season. Who knows? But they're struggling overall. They're only third, and we're top. We've played 20, won 18. We've drawn a game. We drew to Stuttgart. We've lost a game. We lost to FC Cologne. But we're top of the league by 8 points. So on the pitch, things are going marvelously, is probably what you'd say. Transfer-wise, I've been busy. So let's go to the transfer history here. Let's sort this. In fact, I've already sorted this by where we left things before. So before I left you, we'd done 2 transfers, hadn't we? It was Florian Wirtz and Milos Kerkez completed. And then Alex Valler was in the works at that stage. Since then, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players have joined. Now, some of them have already left, actually. If I go to Pau Kabashi, who came in as a backup centre-back for us, he came in on loan. Barcelona recalled him in January because he didn't play many games for us. So it's a waste of £1.4 million, to be honest. But I like the idea of having him here because he's one of those players that I'd love to sign him permanently. He fits the vibes of being an exciting young player in the world. Unfortunately, I couldn't give him the games, and also I had to promise to play him in a role. I hate that, by the way. There's a little bugbear of this year's game. I wish you didn't have to. I wish the loans weren't so set in stone. Some of the promises that you had to make, like you not only want to play him as a centre back, but I have to play him as a central defender or a no nonsense defender rather than a ball player, or a ball player on defend, not on support or something, and then they get really angry and recall them straight away if you don't do that, which is kind of what happened here. However, I sort of understand why as well. If you're loaning a player, you want them to be playing in the role that you want them to. So I also get it from both sides, I suppose. Either way, he has come and gone. I've then spent quite a bit of money on quite a few players. We've also sold a lot of players, including Angelo Stiller, which is what's funded this spree, basically, which is what this has actually become. It was, well, let's go to those sales first of all. I sold Angelo Stiller for £83 million. I loaned a whole load of players, as you can see on here. I also did what I kind of talked about before, which was to loan, or sell even, Sverre House at Naipan has gone to Wolves for £50 million. That money came from the Ryan Aitnori sale, and then that money plus the Angelo Stiller money is about £130 million. Could actually rise, look. The Stiller deal can actually go as high as £96 million with add-ons. So we're looking at not far off £150 million to go and spend. And so I went and spent it. I spent it mainly on one man, and that was Lamine Yamal. He was there to be bought, and I get it. He's very obvious as a player to sign, but I don't think I've actually ever signed Lamine Yamal in a save before. I've used him when he's been at the club, when I've taken... he was at one of my teams in the journeyman save. I've never actually personally signed him, which is a bit wild. If you think about, he was the wonder kid when FM24 came around, and he's now tearing up in real life, of course. But I've done it. I've decided to go for it. He's going to be one of our wingers. Lamine Yamal is now at Wolfsburg. I think he gives us the best possible chance to go and win the Champions League. And I think signing him, it just makes it... He was interested to come to us because we'd won the Bundesliga, because we'd done okay in the Champions League, because he wasn't playing at Barcelona. Look, this season, he's only started 3 games. So, yes, he's cost me £100 million, but I think it's a bargain for a player as good as him. And I think it makes sense. When we've got the sales that have come through and the money that we've got to spend, I think the board did give us some extra money as well in January. So I've decided in this January to sign him for £100 million. I have also signed, just to go down this list, I'll just do them one by one, I think. Amandio Claudio is a new gen centre-back who's going to be one of our backups at the moment. He's 18 from Portugal. João Neves is one of our new defensive midfielders. This is to replace Stiller, of course. And then also to replace Naipan as one of our defensive midfielders, I have brought in Hugo Larsson, another player that I just love in real life. He fits the vibes. He is the type of young player that I want to be signing in this save. So him, alongside João Neves, are going to be a new look defensive midfield partnership in this team. And the team now looks like this. Florian Wirtz, by the way, is a fantastic right back. He's now accomplished at right back, inverted wing back, Florian inverts. Still, I actually came up with that on stream. And it just sort of, I just sort of said it, and it felt like an amazing moment. So I'm going to keep using it. Florian inverts. He's been great. He's got himself 5 assists, 2 goals, 7.17 average rating. We're top of the league. You can't really argue with it, can you? This is a great team now. This is a team that I think we need to be trying to win the Champions League this year. And I genuinely think I was going to say we could. We definitely could. But I think we almost should be winning it this year with this squad that we've now given ourselves. Let's go back to those signings, because there is 1 or 2 more as well. Another big signing for £50 million was a new gen by the name of Lakhdar Soltani, who's a wonder kid striker. He's got 18 finishing, and he's only 18, and he's in the under-21s for France already, and he looks brilliant. He was at Inter, came through Inter's academy look, and has already made his first team debut for them, was coming off the bench for them a lot last year. £50 million, not all up front. A lot of that is in clauses, but he's now going to be, he's played 8 games, got 3 goals already. I think we should be trying to play him as much as possible to try and give him the best chance. There's a load of other players on here too. There's a backup right back, a young right back called Schneider, who's come in. There's Adam Zadingra for £8 million, just new gens. Trying to hoover up as much young talent as possible for the future, because if they don't play here, they can play at one of our other teams. He can go and play at Wolfsburg as soon as he's 18, for example. There's João Rego, who's one of our backups now. I've moved him from Wolfsburg to Wolfsburg because he was unhappy there and wanted to move on. So I decided, well, you can move on, but you can move to one of our own teams and keep you happy and within the network. A youngster called Balau Kazar is a young defensive midfielder. Kobe Mainu's here on loan. Luis Arroyo on loan, young new gen that I'd love to sign permanently, but he's going to be a backup for us now at the moment. Savinho's here on loan. We paid money to bring him in on loan. And then Pau Kabasi, who I showed you before. That's all of the business. A lot of players have gone as well. Desiree Doué, I've sent to Wolfsberger to go and be on loan there. Same with Mujajic has gone through. He's now there. Same with Leo Zatrone, who's a new gen that we had as a centre-back. He's now at Wolfsberger. Naipan, we talked about, has moved on. These players are all young players. That's why there's a lot of players on here, but I'm not necessarily going through all of them. Murillo has gone on loan to Wolves. He's going to be one of their centre-backs as a backup. And then a few that I think I'd showed you before, like Richard Rios and Obregon and a few other ones that I'm not sure I quite got to, but I've moved a few more players to Wolfsburger. Look at Wolfsburger's business, by the way. It's mainly from the other teams in the network. There's only 2 out of something like 16 that weren't from one of the teams in our network. There's also a few sales in here for decent money too. Fabian Krivak, look. We'll do the Wolfsburger business now, actually. Krivak was sold to Leipzig for big money. Another example of if we do get big bids for players, I will sell them, even if it's to a big rival of ours, one of the Red Bull teams in Leipzig. I think we still have to do that. £2 million sign, sold for 30 million. It's good money, especially for Wolfsburger, actually. Onyeka as well, signed for a lot less than £12 million. He's been sold. I've sold Jasic and 1 or 2 other ones as well in there. That's the Wolfsburger business. And then finally, let's go to Wolves before I go through the 3 teams and show you how they've been doing. Just a lot of transfer updates, but I hope you guys enjoy it because this is what I love about the game anyway. So I hope you don't mind that's a lot of transfer movements, but I suppose having 3 teams and doing the transfer business, that's sort of what the whole idea is, isn't it? Anyway, so I guess it makes sense. This is the rest of the Wolves business then. After Trasoldi, I loaned in Ethan Nwaneri. I signed a youngster called Bilanzic. I loaned in Murillo that I showed you. I signed Ryan Flamingo as a backup centre-back for us. I signed Naipan, as I showed you before. I signed a young new gen called Barros Charlotto, an Argentinian winger. I signed a youngster on a free called Colin Meyer, who looked like he had some potential. And then finally, I've loaned a Colombian called Escobar, who looks fantastic, who is from Liverpool, but I really wanted to sign him when he signed for Liverpool, but we've got him on loan instead to be one of our backups. The Wolves team looks pretty strong. There are some sales in here as well. The main sale was that sale of Ryan Aït-Nouri, who went to Liverpool in the end for £54 million. That gave us the money to bring in Naipan and do some of that other business. That means that the 3 squads look as follows. Wolves look like this with Simon in goal. Vranks and Baliba have both learnt how to play as fullbacks and have both been brilliant as fullbacks. Vranks has got 7 goals. Let me just show you. 7 goals, 7 assists from right back. Baliba's got 2 goals, 5 assists from left back. Both have been great. Debaston, Silla, Scott and then Naipan as defensive midfielders. Archie Gray also starts a lot of games as a defensive midfielder in there too. Pafundi and Krupi on the wings. Pafundi's got 13 assists, 8 goals from Krupi too. Panyos and then Samu as the strikers, but also Trasoldi starting as a striker too. Those are rotating. That's the squad. It looks pretty strong, and because it's so strong, we're actually top of the league in the Premier League. Wolves have gone from promoted to finishing 4th to being in a pretty commanding position with only 6 games to go. Now, I will say that usually I don't think we'd be winning this league on 56 points because we've dropped points in 6 out of 24, which that's not bad. But if you look at the teams behind us, there is no Manchester City, they're 4th. There's no Liverpool, they're 10th. There's no Arsenal, they're 6th. We've got United in 5th. We've got Chelsea in 8th and we've got Spurs in 7th. The so-called big 6 are nowhere to be seen. Newcastle are 2nd. Brighton are 3rd in this league. So maybe that's why we've got a bit of a free run at it. I'm not going to complain because if it means that we can go and win this title. City have won the league, look. I mean, basically every year except for 2 in the past 10, 12 years. Arsenal won it in 23, 24. Other than that, look, City have won it every year going back all the way to Liverpool's win in 2020. It's a huge drop off from them and it might just open the door for us. So hopefully a Premier League title on the way, and that would be all 3 teams that have won domestic titles and should win domestic titles again this year. I showed you Wolfsburg being top of their league. They've got 55 points. Wolfsburg are also massively top of the league. They're 10 points clear of 2nd, which is Salzburg. They've only lost 1 game so far. They lost to St. Gallen. It's just weird, the teams you lose to. 2 draws to Rapid Vienna and Grasshopper Zurich as well. But 10 points clear of Salzburg in 2nd. It's a domination from them. And their squad looks a bit like this. It's Majic and Gruber now up front. But that has been JP Mateta for most of the season. He's got 11 goals in 10 starts. Has actually been injured for quite a while, look. He's dislocated his shoulder. But it's okay because Majic is in here now. It's Penis on the left-hand side, Rego on the right-hand side. Mastantuono's been injured as well for quite a while, but he will come in probably to play on the right-hand side. But João Rego is back from his loan from Wolfsburg. I told you he went on loan there. He did go on the loan there until January, and now he's come back again because we signed Yamal, and now Yamal goes into that squad, so Rego doesn't have a position, if that makes sense. So João Rego back at Wolfsburg and still wants to leave. Look, unhappy with his playing time, but there we go, we move. Rios and Doué now starting as the defensive midfielder in this squad. We've also had lots of starts in here for Dagger. Bilanzic in on loan is going to be helpful in that. We've, of course, lost Krivak in that midfield, but I think we're looking okay with these guys. Daniel Dagger especially I think he's injured right now, but is making that progress that I really wanted him to. He's starting to become the player that I think he can be. Soles, Eze, Yoro, and then Obregon, but it's usually Mikic that starts in it. Mikic, by the way, I think we need to talk about this. have a look at his average rating over the course of this save. His attributes don't make him look like he's amazing, I would say. He's pretty good, but every season, whether he's playing for Wolfsburg and not playing many games, but 3 seasons now with Wolfsburg, he's got an over 7.2 average rating. 7.48 average rating this year. 7 assists and a goal. He's really, he performs really well on the pitch, even if he doesn't look like he should do. Just what maybe one to look out for in your saves, perhaps. He seems to be that type of player anyway. Those are the teams. Those are the performances. The final thing I need to update you on is the Champions League progress, because all 3 teams playing in the Champions League and the league phase finished like this. It was a great performance, an especially great performance from Wolves in the Champions League. 8 games, 6 wins, 1 draw and a loss, look, to finish in the top 8, second, in fact, behind Manchester City, who haven't been that good in the league this year. And then Wolfsburg also won 6 of their games, lost 2 though, 1 to Salzburg, 1 to Feyenoord, also going through straight away to the last 16, whereas Wolfsberger have made it through to that playoff game. They've got themselves 2 wins from 8, drawn 4. They drew to Bayern Munich, to PSG, to Spurs, to Copenhagen, lost 2 to AC Milan and Feyenoord. Feyenoord seemingly beating all of our teams there. Did win 2, once against Zagreb, once against Sevilla. Not an amazing performance in the Champions League, I'd say, from them, but they are going through to the next round where they will play Borussia Dortmund. So hopefully they can get through, because then you'd imagine that there's a really good chance that in the last 16, our teams will either play each other, or if they don't play each other, they could both all go through. Imagine we could get to a point where 3 of the last 8 teams in the Champions League are our teams. That would just be glorious, wouldn't it? I'm going for this Champions League this year. I really think Wolfsburg probably have our best chance, but I think this Wolves team, they're top of the Premier League. They have a chance of winning this. And do you know what? This Wolfsburger team can get results against anybody. So why not go and try and win this Champions League, at least with one of them? That's the aim. And I guess I'll be back to let you know whether we could get that done. That's an update. Oh, I feel like I've talked a lot, but there's a lot to update you on. I'll see you at the end of the season. Well. Welcome to the end of the season, and welcome to the Champions League final between 2 of our Spineless Network teams. We'll start at the end and work our way backwards, because this was the glorious conclusion to our 4th season in this save. We had Spineless Wolfsburg playing Wolves in the Champions League final, and this was the result. But we left it up to the managers. We actually holidayed the pair of them, and we watched with our 3rd manager, Mickey DeZeo, and we watched this final on stream between Wolfsburg and Wolves, and this was the conclusion. It was Wolfsburg that have won a Champions League in this save so far, and going through to the final knowing that we were about to win the Champions League was just a lovely, lovely time. This was the first goal, Matisse Tau with a great finish to put Wolfsburg 1-0 up. Wolves didn't really change anything or do anything about this. It went 2-0 at the start of the second half, or on the hour mark, I should say. João Neves with a great goal. He was fantastic in this final. They didn't really change anything, Wolves, but then on 73, this happened. Archie Gray into the back of the net, 2-1, and suddenly it was game on. But then right towards the end, like 90th minute, Wolfsburg made sure Lamine Yamal into the box, into the back of the net. That's why you pay £100 million for him. He went and basically confirmed that Wolfsburg would be the Champions League champions this year. He actually got the second goal right at the end there as well, Lamine Yamal. 4-1, they lift the trophy. We've managed to do it. We've built a Champions League winning team with our multi-club save. We've also got a team that got to the final of the Champions League, and we have basically swept up and dominated European football this year. Let me work backwards and show you how it came to be this as the finale of the season. And now what we need to do to try and freshen up this save and keep it interesting, because we've kind of achieved so much, is what do we do next? Do we bring in another team? Do we add a new Red Bull team, rival team? Somebody left me a great comment about how you could actually make the save more tricky, because Red Bull could also be expanding as you're expanding, and maybe you give some of those rival teams more funding, or you bring in extra Red Bull teams to try and make it trickier. Maybe we do something like that. Maybe we bring in that 4th team, as I mentioned. Maybe we bring in some teams in other continents, etc., etc. But right now, we not only have Manny Fanny winning the Champions League with Wolfsburg, but they've also won the Bundesliga for a 2nd consecutive season. It was an 86-point season, pretty much dominating Bayern Munich in 2nd. They actually managed to come back and have a good end to the season. They were 3rd last time I spoke to you, but they've overtaken Leipzig to finish 2nd. However, if you remember that Anton Clayts was the manager, Not anymore. They have sacked Anton Clayts for failing to win the league and only finishing second after less than a year, meaning that Anton Clayts is now unemployed. Does this mean that we could bring him back into the network? Do we make him the manager of the fourth team that we bring back in? Is there something to work with there? Do we completely keep him cut out because he's a traitor and he deserted us to go to Bayern Munich? We've got options, haven't we? But technically he's still a manager in the save look, so we could go and do that. But that's not our business right now. That's something to think about for next year because, as I say, Manny Fanny has won the Champions League and League double. If I go over to Wolves now, Kolo Touré, yeah, you guessed it. They won the Premier League. It's an 89-point season from them. 5 draws, 5 losses, and nearly that 90-point season. But to be honest with you, it's because of the other teams not really challenging. You've got Newcastle second, United third, City fourth, Everton fifth. Look, Liverpool finished 10th. Chelsea finished 11th here. Brentford finished rock bottom. Bournemouth got relegated. It's a bit of a weird Premier League season. Josh Sargent got top goal scorer in the league, for Christ's sake, if that doesn't say it all there. But Wolves are the champions. This is their team. If I just show you some of the stats of some of those players. Nicolo Trasoldi got 28 goals, look, in 46 games. 23 goals from Samu. 19 goals from Banyos on the bench there. It was a great season from there. Astor Ranks, look, as a right back, 10 goals, 9 assists. Belieber with 2 goals and 8 assists down there too. Changing midfielders to wing backs, apparently it works because we've won a Champions League, we've won a Premier League, we've won a Bundesliga by doing so. If I go to Wolfsburg and just show you, the season that Florian Inverts has just had as a right back is outrageous, really, when you consider it. It's his best ever season in the save so far, 7.23 average rating, 4 goals, 7 assists. All of which playing as a right back, because now that's what he is. He's Florian Inverts and he plays right back these days. This team, though, is a joke, isn't it? Where do you actually even really improve it, if we're going to be honest with it? We've got an amazing goalkeeper. We've got a great defence, which is a really fun defence. Hato and Mosquera, what a central defensive partnership that is between the two. Larson and Neves are just a great defensive midfield pairing. Tal on the left, Yamal on the right, Sesko and Viper up front. Even if you don't want to use Viper, you could bring in Sultani, who's got 14 goals this season, is looking outrageous and is going to be outrageous. Maybe then you could even bring in Christian Gruber, who's playing at Wolfsberger, who's currently on loan, who's got himself 29 goals this season. Playing and winning, of course they're winning, the Alpenliga with Spinus Wolfsberger here. It's an 87-point season from them, look. That's in a 34-game season as well. That is no mean feat. Just 3 draws, 3 losses over the course of the season, which is an 8-point gap to second place. It's actually a really good season from Salzburg, only losing 3 games, 1 to us. They did actually beat us as well, but still nowhere. It's still 8 points off us because we're just really, really good at this stage. Don't have any of the top goal scorers in there. But we do have the 3 top average ratings. So that kind of tells the story itself, doesn't it? Amazing, amazing season. Look at some of the stats on some of the players here. If I just show you all the assists on there as well. 14 assists from Soler at left back. 14 assists from Mikic at right back. 29 goals from Gruber. He is developing. Half a season from Majic. 9 goals from him as well. Not too shabby at all. We're in a fantastic place. They also won the Alpen Cup final as well. Somebody asked me, does the Alpenliga have its own cup competition? It does. We've just won it here. It was a Majic winner in the final against Austria Vienna. And we've got money to go and spend to go and improve these teams and to go and keep going with this. But like I say, I feel like we do need to maybe add some more competition, some more difficulty. Maybe it's improving those Red Bull teams, bringing in more Red Bull teams. Maybe it's bringing in a 4th team. And that's what we're going to go and do next. More videos will follow, but let me just outline exactly how that is going to work from this point now. We've actually caught up with where I've got to now on Twitch, which means that I need to go and play the save now. Live on stream. If you want to come and watch that, it's over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Clayts. I am thinking about setting up multi-streaming so that we live stream here on YouTube as well. So keep an eye out for that. If I suddenly go live on YouTube, jump in. It'd be great if you were there. But what I mean now is that there's probably going to be a bit of a gap until another update in this adventure. What we might do is sort of draw a line under the adventure there with that Champions League win. And then if I do another season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, we'll do another batch of seasons to go on, like a series 2 of the save, maybe in the next few months or something like that. That's what I'm thinking right now. But thank you so much for coming on this adventure with me. It's been a pleasure to bring across my Twitch save and share it with you guys here on YouTube. And again, thank you so much for enjoying it so much and letting me know that you enjoy it so much. It makes me feel very grateful that you guys enjoy it so much. Thank you very much for watching. We'll leave it there. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. We'll go on a new adventure next. How's that sound? Sounds good, doesn't it? I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Oh, and by the way, another video will pop up at the end of this one, so go and watch that one now.